These 5 non-obvious habits are ruining your life. Watch this video until the end so that you don't miss a single habit that is hindering your life, and so that you understand exactly how you can change your destiny right now. The habit of devaluing yourself and others. It's so accurate and subtle, you assume it's not a big deal. And you don't even notice when you're judging someone else. When you devalue another person, you unconsciously devalue yourself too. For example, how can someone be such an upstart? It means you have a manifestation block. You don't allow yourself to be an upstart either. There is a side effect to the habit of devaluing another person. You lose your own self-worth, and it manifests itself in devaluation. You have a hard time putting a price on your services, on your products, on your work. You get that imposter syndrome. If you've ever found yourself experiencing imposter syndrome, then give this video a like. It's definitely about you. Begin to accept other people's manifestations. Each person is different. How someone looks, who they live with, who they sleep with, how they talk, how they sit, stand, how they look, what they do, and how they spend their money should not concern you at all. The second habit that spoils your life is promising and not doing. When you do that, let's say you think, that's it, I'm definitely going to start jogging on Monday. You promise something to yourself, or you promise something to another person. I'll do this for you, or I'll call you back. When you don't keep your promises to another person, and more importantly, don't talk about it after the fact, you damage your relationship with that person. The second story is when you make promises to yourself and don't keep them either. You promise to yourself to start running on Monday and then forget about it. Once you did it once, twice, 3 times, 5 times, every time you do that, you lose a very important thing called self-respect. When you first made a promise to yourself to start running and didn't follow through, you lost some respect for yourself. Then the second time, the third time, you develop a general lack of respect for yourself, a lack of trust in yourself, and the idea that you can't rely on yourself. The third habit that interferes with your life is the habit of saving others and causing them irreparable happiness. Many among you spend virtually all of your resources to make a difference in another person's life. The moment you think, that person can do it better, it's a direct sign that you are wasting your resources on fixing someone else's life. But the secret is that your resources will never be enough for that, and then the world sets up events in such a way that you don't succeed, you just run out of steam. In order that you don't disturb another person, it starts depriving you of resources, money, strength. You wake up and immediately feel tired. Once you switch this habit of yours of meddling in other people's lives, switch it to improving your own. Only then will you have more resources. I talk more about the law of free will and how to honor it in my Basic Witches course. I invite you to participate in a free week of the course. The fourth habit that horribly damages your life is assuming. Many people communicate in their mind. I thought that he had this attitude and meant this, but he could have figured it out. I looked at him this way, it should be obvious, and so on. If you use these phrases in your vocabulary, you definitely have a habit of assuming. The more you assume, the less other people will even begin to guess what you've meant, resulting in an inadequate response from you. He looked at me with such contempt, but he was just looking at you, thinking, man, when is mortgage due? Have we paid for it yet? It's enough just to say with your mouth, listen, I thought you looked at me a little unkindly. Is something wrong? This speculation can lead you to destroy relationships with a huge number of people, and you don't even realize it. You end up sitting there convinced that you can't trust anyone, when in fact you can trust everyone. You just need to learn how to talk to them. I'm sure each of you has had a story where you didn't speak through your mouth. You assumed something in your head and ruined a relationship with a person, and then found out later that they meant something completely different. It looked completely different in their universe. They didn't mean what you imagined. If you've had this happen, share your most vivid cases, events when you've made things up in your mind, in the comments. The next habit that spoils your life is the habit of not paying. You definitely have people in your vicinity, friends, acquaintances, who are engaged in some kind of activity, and this activity can be useful to you in your life. If you turn to your friend, acquaintance, and say, "Listen, I could use some advice. I have a question in your line of work." They tell you as a friend, "Yeah, sure, go for it." You call them and spend an hour and a half asking them about legal issues. You then think, "Awesome, thanks friend, I'm off now." You don't realize that it's actually the person's job. It's essentially a service for you. When you build a relationship with your friends like this, you're taking up their time and using their expertise, and not giving anything in return. One time you call that friend like that, then a second, third, fourth. By the fifth time, your relationship will be ruined. A healthy option would be, whether it's your acquaintance, friend, some recommendation. If you get counseling from someone, then you should pay that person the general rate for their work, especially if they are your friend.